Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome into episode 3 of the free agency series, where we're going to be taking a look at different positions and talking about some prospects that would fit the New York Jets that are set to hit the open market. We already covered wide receivers and tight end. This one, we're switching over to the defensive side of the football and talking corners. Let's kick things off with the first player on this list, cornerback from the Carolina Panthers, Dante Jackson. Now, even though Donte has been producing really since the time he was drafted, and he's still relatively young, entering his prime now at 27 years old, I don't think he will be back with the Carolina Panthers next season, because I look at that position, they have J.C. Horn, a former top 10 pick just last year. They pulled off a trade for another former top 10 pick in Tre Herndon, who's still on his rookie contract. And the talk right now is that Carolina could very well go corner again with the 6th overall pick. So I think there's a really good chance that Jackson hits the open market here. And I gotta be honest, he's one of my favorite players in football. I mean, I loved him back at LSU, and there were some doubts about his size. He's only 5'10", 180, 185 pounds. But man, I mean, this guy has been producing. I mean, you take a look at some of these numbers, they're crazy. This past season in 12 games, he had 61 tackles, 2 interceptions with 10 passes defended against. And I mean, he's really been putting up consistent numbers across the board since he was drafted. Multiple interceptions every single year. Every single year he's had multiple INTs. I think that's a really solid stat. He's not like having this crazy one-hit wonder style of year where he has, 6 picks, but then he's kind of silent everywhere else. No, he's solid, right? He's not a top 5 guy in the league, but I think you could count on him. I like his versatility. He's played on the left side, the right side. I think he excels in zone coverage. He has really good instincts to jump routes. I think he has solid ball skills as well. I think Dante Jackson will be a tremendous fit, and I don't believe the Jets would have to break the bank to go add this guy, right? I really don't believe that. I don't think the Jets would be handing out a Trumaine Johnson style of deal, a Darrelle Revis style of deal, not in the least. Right? I mean, there's those upper echelon type of corners that are on the open market. We're going to talk about one of them on this list in J.C. Jackson in a minute, but even guys like Carlton Davis, I mean, he's projected to cash in this offseason. It is crazy, but I look at Donte as a fantastic fit. Next up, cornerback, we just talked about him from the New England Patriots, J.C. Jackson. This guy is just a flat-out machine. I mean, in 17 games this year, he had 58 tackles, 8 interceptions, 23 passes defended against, second team All-Pro. He has production in man coverage, zone coverage. He's only 26. He continues to get better. The numbers continue to go up. I mean, I remember making a video about JC last offseason when the Patriots put a second-round tender on him. I thought the Jets, I thought it was in play. I would not have been mad if the Jets gave the Patriots a second-round pick and we got J.C. Jackson in return. Now, I do think Jackson won't sign some cheap little contract elsewhere. I really believe JC is going to get one of these quote-unquote mega deals, right, where it's just a blockbuster style. Oh, he instantly becomes one of the highest paid corners in football. I mean, he just has everything on his resume working for him as far as negotiations are concerned. Again, the age, the numbers are consistently rising. You look at the responsibility that Bill Belichick and this New England staff gives him and continues to give him. One of the reasons why they felt comfortable letting Gilmore walk away was that J.C. Jackson has just been, I mean, he's a flat-out beast. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So I really like, again, not only just a schematic fit for the New York Jets because he has a lot of production in zone coverage, but I think one of the areas that the Jets really lack is taking the football away. And J.C. Jackson has racked up 17 interceptions over the last 2 years. By the way, he has really good size as well, 6'1", over 200 pounds. So, I mean, I love J.C. Jackson, and I think he's going to have a lot of suitors this offseason. Next up, corner from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tre Herndon. I've always been a pretty big Tre Herndon fan over these last couple seasons from afar. I mean, I've looked at where he came from as far as just coming into the Jaguars locker room as an undrafted free agent and immediately starts playing, right, his rookie season, but he doesn't start really producing until 2019 and 2020, where he was putting up some solid numbers. I'm not saying this guy's a top 10 corner. He's going to come in and be the next Jalen Ramsey, but if Joe Douglas wants to maybe go the cheaper route at the corner position and upgrade there, I think Herndon could be a guy to look at. I really like his ball skills. I think he's a solid playmaker deep down the field. I think he's also pretty reliable. I mean, he's played in 52 games since coming into the league back in 2018, again as an undrafted free agent. You're coming in undrafted and you are playing in over 50 games for a franchise in just a handful of seasons, I think that says something. I really do. Now, he could be the odd man out because in 2021, his numbers definitely dipped. They took a hit, but I will say that it was just a strange year overall. I mean, it was the whole Urban Meyer situation, debacle, kicking a player, the bar incident, not flying back with the team, completely oblivious in press conferences, it just looked like he was out of it. Just a strange situation. The team also brought in Shaq Griffin on a multi-year contract, pretty solid deal as well. Tyson Campbell was a second-round pick just a year ago. So again, Herndon might not be a future building block of Jacksonville if Joe Douglas wants to go the value route and not want to pay, hand out an $80 million deal, a $70 million contract to one of these big name type of guys. Herndon's a guy who you could bring in on a cheap little 2-year deal. So I think it's solid bang for your buck, if you will. Next up, corner from the Denver Broncos, Kyle Fuller, a guy who has seen a lot of football. I mean, he has a really high defensive IQ. He's a solid player, consistent, good tackler. Outside of 2016, where he missed the entire season due to a knee injury, he's played in every single game. Every single game since he was drafted back in 2014, former first-round pick made by Chicago. When they released him last offseason, I was stunned. And yes, the Bears, of course, were in a little bit of a financial situation, but I felt like, man, to just go out and release a Kyle Fuller was crazy. And then he instantly got signed by Vic Fangio and the Denver Broncos to a cheap 1-year, $9.5 million deal. To kind of put it in perspective, Jarrad Davis signed a 1-year, $8 million deal, and just the level of player are completely different. He was a first-team All-Pro back in 2018. I think Kyle Fuller right now at 30 years old would come in and be a solid veteran leader for this defense, a heady type of player, and we all know this system doesn't put a ton of responsibilities at corner or, on the outside specifically. A lot of cover 3 looks, a lot of cover 4. So I think the age isn't really going to be this massive concern. I mean, we've seen these older style corners produce in systems like this, whether you want to talk about a Josh Norman, we saw him with San Francisco, Richard Sherman is another guy. Jason Verrett is around that same kind of age as Kyle Fuller, 30. You don't have to be some 23-year-old super freak athlete to succeed in this style defense. I think Kyle Fuller would bring a lot to this Jets locker room as far as defensive IQ, seeing a lot of football and being that veteran leader. We just don't have that right now at the cornerback position. So I think even though Kyle is, again, a little older, it should be worth taking a look at. Next up, spot number 5, and of course we do have a bonus at the end, but the 5th player, Levi Wallace from the Buffalo Bills. At 6'1", 180, Levi Wallace is long, lanky. He's an aggressive outside guy. I think he's better fit, even though the Bills play a lot of man coverage. I think he's better fit in more of a zone off style of role. He has really solid instincts. I look at Levi's stats. I mean, he's had multiple INTs over the last 3 seasons. I think that's important. We look at that defense. It's the best defense in football under Sean McDermott. They, of course, have a lot of talent up front at safety. I mean, there's so much talent all over the place. Linebacker, Milano, Edmonds, tons of talent, but a lot of people wrote off that defense last year when Tre White went down with an injury, right? Out for the year. And it happened early. People were saying, oh, Buffalo's done. Their defense, because Tre White was the star of the show. He was the headliner on that Bills defense. Levi Wallace stepped up out of nowhere. Now, he isn't the best. I'm not saying Levi's Jalen or anything like that, but I think, again, much like Tre Herndon, he could be had at a cheaper price. Now, I do feel like the Buffalo Bills will do everything to try to bring him back because he is valuable. But, man, if he can hit the open market and the Jets can beat what the Buffalo Bills can offer, because let's face it, the Bills, I mean, they're paying Josh Allen on a huge deal. Matt Milano, they brought him back. Good team-friendly deal, but still they're paying him. Jordan Poole. I mean, there's a lot of contracts on that roster. Stephon Diggs, obviously. Could Levi slip through the cracks, slip through the Buffalo Bills front office grasp, and be playing elsewhere next season? He's only 27 years old. He started every game he's played in since 2018, and this past season he had 2 interceptions and 10 passes defended against. So I think Levi should definitely be taken into consideration this offseason. And last but not least, for the bonus, I always try to go with a wild card here, try to go with a player that some fans would really, really love, and then some fans would not really like it at all. So it's debatable, but it's Stephon Gilmore. Okay, and Gilmore, obviously, when he's on the field, when he's healthy, he's an impact player. top 3 corner in the league. I mean, he was a dominant player for years. I mean, even going back to Buffalo, he was, I mean, I felt like he was underrated at the time. Of course, signs that humongous contract with New England and instantly becomes a star. I mean, people were talking about him as the best cornerback in football. And again, it wasn't just some 1 year type of thing. No, it was multiple years. So Stefan was released from New England, gets picked up by Carolina, and now it's looking like he's going to be on the open market again. Here are the question marks, though. How much does Gilmore want? How healthy is Stephon Gilmore? As we all know, Gilmore was dealing with that pretty significant quad injury, and in fact, that was actually the main reason on why the Patriots and Gilmore had a falling out to begin with. So another question mark that we should ask here, is Gilmore trying to, I guess, chase a ring? Is he in a position where he's only interested in signing with teams like the Chiefs, the Titans, the Bills, like those upper echelon titans, if you will, of football, to try to make that late playoff push? Because he has been playing for a long time. Again, he is coming off a pretty significant injury here. So is that something in Gilmore's mind, or is he just kind of trying to chase a big contract, another big contract? So it should be interesting. I think if Gilmore wants to, make a Super Bowl push this next season, I could see him signing with the Rams, of course. We didn't cover every single cornerback that's on the market, right? We didn't talk about guys like Steven Nelson, Joe Hayden, Carlton Davis. I mean, there's a lot of talent here. A lot of talent at the cornerback position. So let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you want the Jets to target? And of course, why? I always love the why part. It's always so interesting to kind of dive in. Now, before I end the video, I do want to say that there has been I guess smoke surrounding how the Jets view the cornerback position, or really defensive back overall, and supposedly it's not that important, right? They don't value defensive back as maybe as much as other teams do, which I understand. Other systems, defensive systems value certain positions. That's completely, I get it. But I don't want to pass on the cornerback position. By the way, I love Bryce Hall, I love Michael Carter, but I don't want to pass and say we're good at corner and then continue to put out one of, if not the worst defense in football. That does not fly with me. That does not sit well, because at some point you're going to have to change your ways and adjust if your initial plan is not working. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.